Hello, everyone. Welcome in to the PHNX Rising Podcast. Hello. Appreciate you guys joining us here on a Tuesday, 6 p.m. You know, the usual time frame, little post-Thanksgiving action. Of course, my name is Max Simpson, and I'm thankful for not being joined by Mr. Owen Evans. We've already had plenty of that guy. He's out on a well-deserved vacation, I will say that. Call a vacation in air quotes for those of you who are listening on audio. But I am joined by Mr. one and only Jake Anderson. How we doing, buddy?
Good to see you again, man. Last time I saw you, well, obviously the trophy Sally, but before that, good old final, USL Championship final, trophy lifting.
Oh, dear gosh, man, that was something. I'm still trying to, man. It seems like what are we now? We're now like a little 2 weeks removed. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. What is it? What's today?
Someone do like a what is a
28th? Yeah, it's been.
Who handles maps? Is a No, it's a cartographer. Is that for maps? I don't know what a calendar person is, but I'm not that person. But it seems about 2 weeks removed. It still feels surreal. I still can really remember the fans going nuts in Charleston, celebrating. Rumor has it we may have popped champagne bottles. Someone may have the confetti still from the match. We're feeling great, man.
Got some dead grass in here too.
Woo! That's just par for the course. That's just par for the course. We love that. No, man, this will be fun. Again, Jake stepping in valiantly, deputizing for Mr. Owen Evans. But yeah, we got a live chat in here, right? Evan all asking why so late. Listen, man, you know us. We're not a timely show. Paul 612. Listen, we're here. Better late than never, as some might say. I do like Sean in the chat petition to get a star over the pod logo.
Ooh,
listen,
I like
there
that.
have been requests for that, and I will say this. Listen, y'all lobbied hard. We helped. We worked with the ALLCITY crew. Shout out again, Eric and everyone on the design team. Everything making the shirt. Ended up launching because Rising won. I'm gonna lobby for the star. We'll see how many changes retroactively that may happen, and goodness gracious, that might get to some. That might get some not hot water, but I might that might get a feisty discussion. But hey, I am happy to put in the ask. I will be that guy to put in the ask. Scott asking what's with the beard. Has Max gone Amish? Oh boy. Yeah, people did say I look like a young Abe Lincoln. I don't know what to say about that, but I've gotten many comments. Yeah, since it's shaved, I tried the soul patch, tried the mustache. And, we're just kind of on the road to recovery for the next 2-3 weeks trying to wait this out. But here we go. But no, we got a fun show for you guys tonight. Right, kind of alluded to those of you who are diehards in Discord as well as put it on Twitter. Last week, right, we did our end of the season awards, right? So naming everyone from MVP, most clutch player, all different positional players, all those things. Really what we're looking to do for the offseason, both, Jake, when Owen's back, really, throughout all these episodes, we're really looking to paint a picture of what Rising's offseason looks like. So that's what starts tonight, right? Really getting into who are some of those players who are just irreplaceable in Phoenix Rising's eyes, who we want them to bring back, who are must to bring back. Then it's going to get into, as we get closer to the holidays, maybe a little bit of wish lists of who, positions that Rising can bolster. And then as we actually see this team re-signing players, bringing new players in, we're going to see this team actually take shape for next season. And it's going to be less speculation and hoping, kind of like what we're going to be doing tonight. But we're actually going to get into, okay, what does this team look like in its championship defense season? Going back for 2. That feels good to say, but it starts tonight, my guy.
The job, as we've been talking about all year, saying the job's not done, The job did get done this year. But
there's a but. There's a but.
But how freaking awesome would it be if they took care of business to defend the title at home? Because real quick, Who's the last USL team to win the final at home? Was it Louisville in 18? Who won in 19?
Oh, man.
Was it Monarchs? Is that when Monarchs won? Monarchs might have won at home. But
right.
Orange County won it on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Phoenix Rising won it on the road.
That was to San Antonio last year. Good shout.
So, I mean, I want to see Phoenix do it at home. That's the last one. I want to see 10,000 plus standing room, right? I want to see that for the first time. I want to know what it's like to be in Arizona when an Arizona team wins at home. Because that hasn't happened, all that much, let alone in a long time.
Yeah. Man, 100%. I also, really quick before we will get into kind of those irreplaceable players, right? That's something we will get into in the heart of the show. There's a lot of comments, right? I'll just address the elephant in the room that apparently keeps growing bigger by the day. People are asking about the tattoo, what all that looks like. I'll be very transparent. It will happen. It will happen. I'm not trying to dodge it. Definitely not trying to delay it and hope people forget it. That's definitely not my style. But
I was told this was the show. That's why I'm here.
You a tattoo artist?
Could be. Todd was showing me a few things off camera.
Oh man, no. We the caveat with that is we are going to make this a diehard exclusive event. So again, shameless plug. If you're not a diehard, become one at phnxlogger.com. That will be the only way to see me getting a tattoo in full. We're really just working out the details, right? Of like on our crew, we got to make sure the date works, everything like that. Then logistically, we have to see really what that looks like if we're going, the setup, remote studio, someone coming in, right? We have to just kind of work all that out. So it will happen during the off season. I'm not dodging it. It will happen. Literally, an angry mob will show up at my doorstep if it doesn't happen. So trust me, I'm not dodging you guys. Maybe just delaying it a bit. But anyway, before we get into those irreplaceable players, we have our list. Let's kind of get into some Rising news, right? We did see over the past week that, Phoenix Rising, they're doing a little bit of traveling, right? And, Jake, you saw this coming, right? We saw that they're not just going, they're not just a USL championship, the national champions of a USL championship. They're also making their ways overseas, going to Little Italy. And what club did they go to in Italy, Mr. Jake Anderson?
They went to go see Juventus.
Oh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. We actually have a little bit of a graphic up there showcasing, we got Juan Guerra, Bobby Dooley, Brendan McCarthy, all these guys. They're going over.
Do you know who the Juventus man is, though?
Oh, goodness. Man, you got to help me out. You got to help me out there.
So I actually need to ask Juan about this because I want to know how he knows this, but how he knows him. That's Claudio Chiellini.
Ooh.
So Giorgio is the player.
Okay, yes.
So that's the brother, right? Everyone knows who Giorgio Chiellini is. But that's Claudio Chiellini. So I kind of want to know where their paths crossed or who knows what. But obviously Juventus is one of the biggest teams in the world.
Yeah.
So I like to see them going to the north of Italy. I prefer the south, obviously. But I do like that they're going over there. Maybe they're learning some things from the big guys. Hopefully not everything that Juventus does. Yeah. But hopefully they come back with some talent.
Oh man, I mean it's right. You're going over right. It said tweeted by USL Championship, and we saw Juan Guerra posting pictures on his own personal Twitter of visiting their training facility and everything like that. I mean, we've seen this team even in last offseason, right? They're playing friendlies. They're in Mexico. They're having a bit of that. Hey, we're looking to work globally. What does that look like, you think, from like training in a different environment, training overseas? How do you think that can help this team?
I think it just comes down to talent acquisition. I mean, we just saw basically all the new, right? They brought in 17 new guys this year.
Yeah.
Most of them were of, South American descent, whether it was Colombia, whether it was Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina. Obviously there was some Mexican talent in there as well, North American side. I think now, because Fede was one that you brought over, who had a lot of European experience. So I think they're looking for maybe some players that are potentially on the higher end because
sure. From
what I've heard that Juan wants to replenish this team and not just fill in a guy. It's we want this position to be better than last year. We need to get a better guy for that position. So because really at that point the team's not with them.
Oh yeah.
So this has to be scouting. This has to be networking with coaches and maybe trying to find a way to get maybe some better European players some playing time over here. Maybe this is loan options. I mean, this is all speculation, but this is what I would assume you would do on a European tour.
Yeah, it's something where if you're looking from Phoenix Rising's perspective, right? I mean, we've seen this entire team was made up essentially from scratch. Very few players brought back, it was very much built from the ground up. And you kind of saw that with a lot of signings, guys who had league experience, but even guys, right, who came from alternative leagues. You have a Daniel Crutzen, a John Stenberg, many other guys who they came from outside the USL Championship. And I think you don't just look at this from Phoenix Rising's perspective. You look at USL Championship as a whole, and really, you can really even forecast this to, the greater ecosystem of the American soccer landscape. But these clubs, while they are, definitely looking to sell on in a lot of ways, they're also looking to bring in top talent and not just say, hey, it's, you always, hear from a lot of different leagues like, hey, people have a notion of how American soccer, wherever it's in the pyramid, or excuse me, not the pyramid, but the different tiers and all that stuff, how the style is, what the level of competition is. But you see the investment that, clubs are trying to make within USL Championship. You see where Phoenix Rising is one of those preeminent teams. It makes a lot of sense to kind of scout internationally because they're trying to be a destination market. And you kind of look at Phoenix within the landscape, coupled with their track record in the league. And now you couple in an actual championship. Man, that really helps to make your case for players who maybe they're not getting as much playing time overseas. Maybe they're looking to move up kind of the ladder within their own careers. It's not happening within, the country or the league that they're in. Really stands for a nice opportunity.
And this is just some quick transfermarkt research.
Please. I love a good transfermarkt. Let's go.
I know nothing about Claudio Chiellini in terms of what he's done in his career. But just looking at the last 10 years of his coaching tenure, he's the Juventus loan player manager, the under-23 team coordinator. He was the sporting director for Pisa, which is another team. But came back to Juve. Now he is the Juventus next-gen technical director. Mm-hmm. I say all that because everything you said echoes the fact that this sounds like it's the guy that would send maybe a youngster who's going to get no playing time in Italy and goes, why don't you go maybe spend some time in the United States?
Oh, sure.
And it could be the same thing we thought was going to happen to Rocco at the beginning of this year. Personally, I thought Rocco was going to get recalled mid-season because his team was going to need him.
Sure.
A similar thing could happen here, too, to where this player gets called back in Italy or spends the next 2024 season here and then goes back to Italy at the end of the Rising season, which would be halfway through the European season. So I just wanted to get everyone excited for a loanee that might not actually happen. But this is who Juan was talking to.
No, I think that's the beautiful thing of like to your point, what you're saying. This team, you already kind of see the DNA that Juan Guerra liked to bring in, and he brought in all of his players. But it's very much in the second season. It's kind of seeing who fit the mold, who can be depth, and if not everyone's going to fit. Other people are going to move on based on what we'll get into later in the pod of just people excelling in their own careers. They're probably going to move on to greener pastures. We'll call it what it is. So you have to bring in new people, and I think having that targeted profile of not just saying we want depth or we want a pacey winger or someone who can pass out of the back. Those are very important things, and these are just attributes I'm throwing out, but it's very much getting calculated of how can you play within a certain system? What are some of your off-ball tendencies? Things like that, where this is now in the second year. Well, I mean, really 2.5, the second full season, but the third season that Juan Guerra has been in charge of some capacity of this club. You're now starting to see the dividends of how they can keep building upon a system, getting the right profiles in place. And this is where you're kind of playing with gravy at this point.
I agree. And then just to respond to Michael's point about Rocco, I thought his club would just say, hey, we want you back.
Yeah.
And at that point, Rising has nothing they can do about it if the right to recall on the loan was there. But obviously, all appreciative that Rocco didn't go anywhere. And he stayed
we ain't complaining. We ain't complaining over here.
But I hope they can bring Rocco back. I don't know if they can. I really hope they can, though.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, man. It was cool. I'll say it was cool to see when they made the visit. We'll see what other things they have in store, what gets announced in the near future. But it's nice to see this club, whoever staff they're sending, kind of expanding the profile, not just nationally, internationally as well.
And the last bit I'll say on the scouting front is I was speaking to Juan as we were walking through the airport on our way back. I happened to be on the flight with Juan. There was 3 different flights for the team. And Juan was telling me it's a good problem to have that they were behind in this whole thing because they had to focus on a final, right? Like, while every other team has nothing else to do, they prepare for their next seasons while Rising is preparing for their championship final match. He said, obviously, they weren't able to go as hard as they would have if they were out of the playoffs. Not that they hadn't started, but now, and that's why you're seeing it so quickly after the final. It's kind of like, oh, did Juan take any time off? Like, you have no time. The time off was your playoff time, and you used it to win a trophy, which no one's complaining about.
Not at all.
But this is what they're going to be doing now. They're going to be doing this for the next 2 months, and I know January 15th they want to get things started. They want to start preseason 2 weeks earlier than they did last year.
Oh, let's go, man! Listen, I know a lot of other sports like preseason, throwaway, whatever. It's also crazy, especially like the season literally ended in November, and we're literally going to be running it back. Oh, that's soon. I love it. I get it, and I get that. Listen, I'm gonna put a pin in this in the sense of we can have the conversation till we're blue in the face of there's literally no off downtime for players a lot of the times, and it's gonna be a quick off season for a lot of these rising boys that are coming back. But on the selfish standpoint, from the viewership standpoint, I'm looking forward to it.
I love
more action. Let's go.
I love the sport because it's the quickest off season in sports.
It is, man. Oh, you gotta love it. Going back, Pat. It's a long preseason, man. We'll see, man. Hey, listen, it can't come soon enough in my eyes. I mean, listen, January is going to be starting around there, getting a little hotter.
Michael, I think that's players report to camp. I don't think games are going to start on the 15th.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Preseason starting around then, games following not too long afterwards. You're going to need something to refresh with. And, might recommend this time of year. Oh, boy, here we go. Producer name is going to hate this one. But our holiday cheers box, courtesy of Four Peaks, everyone. Now, here's the thing. It's that time of year, as you guys know. Four Peaks, this flies off the dang shelves at their 8th Street pub. This one, I'm either very strong or it's empty. But here's the thing. It is empty. I'm just going to spoiler. But here's the thing. It's really cool because you can do this sort of thing. They have their holiday advent box, little advent calendar box, and you can literally pick a different beer out of every single one of those all throughout December. So, start with the December 1 right there, and then you go to December 2 down there. You guys know how to count. Maybe better than me. We'll see. Not a numbers guy. That's Stylaki's Reese job. But hey, you go to Four Peaks, you go down to their 8th Street pub, and you get their holiday advent calendar box, and you can get all these different types of beers. Some of them that they carry, but some of them I've never seen before, and I haven't seen since. Very exclusive to this. Go down to Four Peaks 8th Street pub. Get a cool advent calendar box. And also, it's just a great, fun gift. You can drink. It's great for, you have coworkers who like to drink some beers. Maybe in the middle of the day, maybe happy hour. I don't judge. PHNX may or may not do that. We sometimes do that. But it's, of course, Four Peaks when we're doing that. Make sure to go down there, 8th Street Pub again. Follow them at Four Peaks Pub and at Four Peaks Brew to keep up with everything they have going on. You must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. There was a full one of those boxes. Max needed a crane to lift it, says Stylaki Reese. Yes, it's very full of beer. Something else is very full of beer. Friends of Circle K. And, of course, they have that Four Peaks, is that delicious beer that Circle K is full of. But they also have all these other liquids that, make you very full, right? The Polar Pops, gas. I'm not going to, for your car, definitely not for you. Definitely not for you. Let's make that caveat very clear. Circle K is not going to like that one. Usually that's this PHNX Sun Devil show who's usually making that mistake, and they're not going to let me hear the end of this. No, Damon.
Max, you talked a lot about them talking about the
I
gas.
did. Okay, to be fair, they're also way more belligerent about it than I am.
Don't drink bleach.
No, dear gosh. Oh, boy.
Don't drink gas.
Yeah, don't do that.
But if you are...
No.
Okay.
No. Don't drink anything. No, don't drink any of that stuff. You're only drinking Polar Pops. The gas goes in your car. I can't believe I have to say that on a podcast, you animals. But yes, Circle K for everything. And a really coul way to do that is to join their Inner Circle Rewards program. And it's very simple. Download the Circle K app. All you need is a phone number, and you get free rewards, all these different types of things. Again, 5 fill-ups, all discounted, 25 cents off a gallon. You get 5 free Polar Pops. You get free snacks. Every 6 hot snack is free. Bag of chips, pizza. Every time you rack up a 6th one, it is free. And starting December 1st, I even saw that they're going to be doing a 31 days of giving. Literally, if you're an Inner Circle member, you get like free stuff, discounted stuff all throughout December just by literally all you need is a phone number. It's fantastic. So again, Circle K, Inner Circle program. Let's go.
I love the Inner Circle.
It's awesome, man.
I mean, like, I feel like every time I get gas, I'm like, oh, I ran out of my Inner Circle 25% off rewards, and every time I get it.
Well, and the beautiful part is too, if you're an Inner Circle member, you save after you, let's say you go through those 5 fill-ups, 25 cents off a gallon, you get 3 cents off a gallon standing. But if you're just filling up gas there, you then upgrade to 5 cents per gallon after you hit like a very easy threshold. So they're literally just trying to save you money. It's a good time, man. Gas is expensive. Circle K makes it a little bit better. The chat is going nuts. This is on me for talking. So I'm going to try to talk less and kind of segue into the heart of why people are here. We've seen some discourse in the Discord. We've seen some rabble-rousing on Twitter. People have a lot of opinions about last week's awards. And we have some opinionated folks in the chat as well. We got some stuff to talk about on our list, but kind of set the scene of that. Little clip from last week's show featuring a little screen time from, of course, our dear friend Owen. We missed him a little bit, so let's kind of recap that.
This team is looking to keep a strong core together. And I'd personally expect that there's a chance that there could be upwards of 2/3 of the players return. Okay? There we go.
Ooh.
That keeps you guys happy?
Ooh.
There's your news. There's your update.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay, listen. Stage has been set, everyone. And, I made a list of the top 10. That's right. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, or 5. They're in there. But the top 10 most irreplaceable players on Phoenix Rising's roster. Now, we will caveat, right? This is not, this includes players who we think are probably going to be gone based on, again, their talent level, guys who we don't know their contract situation. But these are just, in our opinion, based on last season's performance, these 10 guys who we want to see back no matter what. I made a list. Mr. Jake Anderson made a list. And we even had Stat Lackey Reese make a list as well. And you guys actually can't see it. We're actually going to put Stat Lackey Reese, not only is he on the producer's mic, but we're going to have him lead this off with his list. Mr. Stat Lackey Reese, not his PHNX Rising debut, but his PHNX Rising off-season debut. Good sir, your top 10 list of Phoenix Rising's most irreplaceable players. Here we go.
All right. So should I start reviewing from 10?
Yes, please.
So number 10, I have Jose Andres Hernandez. You could always tell when he was in the midfield, he was always making his passes. It wasn't usually something that showed up on the score sheet with goals or assists, but pretty Mr. Consistent. There were games where he would even have passes upwards of like 80. Like there were times, but he wouldn't miss 20. He would miss like 6, very little amounts. So that's why I have him on there.
And for this, I'm not trying to cut you off. We want to make sure we dissect these lists. The caveat for people is we all have a pretty similar starting 5, but our 6 through 10 pretty different overall. So Jose Andres Hernandez, I like that shout. I think the guy's been pretty consistent. You always knew what you were getting from him.
All right. So for number 9, I have Renzo Zambrano, Mr. Yellow Card. But, he was just defensively so sound. He led the team in interceptions, but he also was pretty consistent with the ball, dribbling. So that's why he's my number 9. Like number 8, Eddie Manjoma. Statistically not very great, but you could always tell when he was on the pitch because there was just the eye test difference between when he was off the pitch and on the pitch.
Of course.
Number 7, Manuel Arteaga. We all know how he started the season poorly. But
I'm waiting for Mr. Mikey Van Der
He already
in there.
has.
Manuel Arteaga replaced him in the playoffs.
All right.
Oh boy.
I'll discuss that. I didn't put Formella in here because we saw games prior to Formella signing when Arteaga was in the starting lineup and the attack was sound. We were scoring goals. That's why I picked Arteaga because, I mean, he scored 15 goals. You can't deny that. Number 6, I think the top 6 is there's a gap between 6 and 7.
Okay.
I think the top 6 is my like elite 6.
Ooh,
so
like that.
Fuenmayor 6. He after the Sacramento game, he turned the page, and like the rest of the team, but that's when he just stepped up. You could tell he was just incredible.
Most minutes of any outfield player all year.
Oh, that's a hell of a stat right there.
Iron Man.
Let's go.
Wow, stat lackey Jake.
Let's go.
All right. Number 5, the man, the myth, the legend, Rocco Rios Novo.
Goat.
We all know what he did. Led the league in saves.
Number 5. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 4, Carlos Harvey. Even though we didn't start him towards the end of the season, but he was 4th in the league for duels and just bossed not only the midfield, but when he played center back too, was forced in there. He was solid there. 3rd, Stenberg. We all know how he made that impact since signing. 2, Trejo. I put Trejo in 2 instead of 1 because I thought we kind of knew coming into the season that Trejo, if he had a good year, he wouldn't be back.
Right.
And he scored 19 goals, so we don't think he'll be back. So, and then number 1, Panos Armenakis led the league or led the team in chances created, 2nd in the league overall for that, and it just was the attacking output in terms of chance creation and had so many key passes. So that's why I went him.
Man. Okay. That's honestly a pretty solid list, man. Again, we I'm looking at the 6 through 10. I fair that there's you mentioned a big gap under 6. But honestly, everything's pretty solid. All guys who are high in the minutes. This is all the beauty about this is like it's all subjective. So like we all have pretty different lists on the back end, but that's pretty solid overall. Jake, what would you grade Stat Lackey Reese's list?
It's one of those to where, like you said, our top 5 is pretty much unanimous. Order might be different, and then it just kind of comes down to, I think, like what we each value. To answer your question, I would say it's an A. Like,
yeah, that's a solid list.
Everyone up there is pretty much who I considered as well. I mean, I have a list of 15, and I had to pick 10.
You did,
right? So it's one of those where, like, do you value defense more? You might be more defensive and not want to put every forward in there, or vice versa. You care more about the goal scorer, so maybe you didn't care as much about the center backs or something like that. I mean, it's a good list. I couldn't. You could argue the bottom 5. I think the top 5 is perfect.
Love it. Okay. Everyone, give Stat Lackey Reese a hand. Let's go. Sound off in the chat as well. Whether you want to give him a hand or another digit on your hands. No, we don't do that. But no, shout out to Zach Reese. Very well, job well done. Give it back. Give it back to producer Damon. Come on now. He's just trying to hog. He's trying to hog the mic, hog the headset. All right. I like that. Again, the theme here, there are a couple of people who you guys are not going to see on our list. There's definitely some up to debate, and I think that transitions well. Mr. Jake, the tie guy, Anderson, would you like to rattle off your top 10?
Yeah, I'll go 10-1.
Let's do it.
All right, 10, Darnell King. From a playing perspective, wasn't as good as he was when he got hurt. He was playing the best football he had ever played in his entire life.
It was, man.
Mid-season, picks up that knock, and it kind of affects him. But after talking to so many guys, especially the young kids, right? Darnell is the captain of this team. He's the leader of this team.
Oh yeah,
and he plays. He's not just a presence. He actually plays as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has enough in his legs. Even if he doesn't, I don't want to lose him in the locker room. He's Juan's right-hand man in terms of communicating to the players.
Yeah.
I had to keep him on the list. Andres, when his name, you said exactly. The guys love him. Like the guys talk about how important he is, and he doesn't play a position that's sexy that gets the stats.
Never.
Fuenmayor, the guy played the most minutes of anybody. He's one of your center backs. He's a rock in this team.
Yeah.
Right? Gabby Torres, this is one I think goes unnoticed. The guy only played 16 games, I believe it was. 17 games. He had 1 goal and 6 assists and gets hurt.
Yeah.
And he never comes back. And this team still won. I think Gabby Torres, if they can get back, will be almost like a new signing because of how much they played without him.
Well, and not just that. I mean, granted, almost this entire team was very much turnover, but one of the very few guys who came back from the previous year.
Right.
So that shows something.
Right.
That shows something.
I think Stenberg goes without saying. I think Stenberg was the best center back as soon as he arrived. He was for my money. And then we get into our top 5, which can go any direction.
Oh, yes.
Trejo to me was the most important player all the way around, but he's gone. Like there's just no way. And he's already played in the MLS before. Like he's not coming back. I knocked him down to 3 for that reason. Manu to me would be the next guy you need to bring back, because where the hell of a goal is going to come from? Because whether you like Manu or not, Manu scored 15. Okay, so 15 of the 54 goals you scored in the regular season, that's 27%. He scored over a quarter of your goals.
Yeah.
So if you were to lose him and Trejo, you're losing what is that? 34 of 54 goals.
Goodness gracious.
So I don't really know who else you're going to bring in that's going to be like that much better. So to me, in terms of knowing you're losing Trejo, Manu has to come back. And the reason why I don't have Formella up here is I would want Formella and Manu to be back.
Yep.
Like I went back to there's too many. I can't put all of them in there.
It's a lot.
Rocco and Panos, I don't even think need explaining.
Sure.
Right? Like if they can get Rocco to come back, that would be probably the best, returnee that they're unsure of. Because at this point, I mean, we know Panos has the extra year, but we don't know where they're at in terms of negotiations and all that. So, but to me, Panos is the one that makes this club tick. He was the, what was the award for midseason transfer? We want to call it that.
Yeah.
Like midseason acquisition. For me, he changed the club. It's the minute he got here.
And that was your vote for midseason acquisition. See, it's funny. John Stenberg swept up a lot. He ended up winning 3 awards. Panos did not, but I think that was a lot of people's picks, and I think that was one of our closest ones, the midseason acquisition. It's interesting, kind of looking at both your guys' list, right? You guys both had Panos number 1. Your guys' top 5, while the order is a bit different, you shared 4 out of the 5 same players, with Reese picking John Stenberg, and you have Arteaga taking his place. John Stenberg, 6 on your list, so just on the outside.
Carlos Harvey, didn't even mention him. Just kind of breezed past him as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those to where maybe their biggest stats are yellow cards,
sure,
him and Zambrano. But it's like they run more than anybody else.
Okay.
They do the off-the-ball work that does not have a stat. You have to watch. You have to see the work rate. You have to see what they do. And when you watch Carlos Harvey play, you're just like, this guy doesn't stop.
Sure.
This is the classic. This is what Landon Donovan called Rising. He used to call him, was like playing racehorses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what playing Phoenix Rising was like. He's the epitome of that. If you have that engine in the midfield, man, you have control of a midfield. You have dominance of a game. I mean, they won the title for a reason.
Oh,
There's too many players that need to come back.
There is. Well, and even hearing like both of you guys, you're right. Both of you guys pick a wingback, which while that's not a wingback, back four, however they played throughout the year, it's interesting knowing how many different guys have cycled through both that left and right side due to form, mainly due to injuries. Guys have lost their place. Some of them have gotten their place back at some point. Some of them didn't. But so many different guys featured. And it's very interesting. You taking Gabby Torres, Reese taking Eddie Majoma. It's very interesting just like knowing there's so much depth. And you can, here's the thing. As crazy as it is, you could probably put multiple wingbacks on those lists. I think you make a claim for both Gabby Torres and Eddie Majoma and Darnell King, as you put, of like...
But all three couldn't start.
But that's the thing. All three couldn't start, but they're that valuable in that system of like those wingbacks. Those guys on the outside are so important. You need a lot of guys. So I think it's just interesting trends to kind of look between what you guys are given. Reese, I kind of asked a question to Jake about your list. I know you're not on mic, but what would you grade? Oh, we're getting a little handoff here. Let's see. This is an impromptu handoff. That's on me. I didn't give you guys a heads up.
Thought he's about to go Gladiator.
He's about to go Gladiator. He's about to give a grade, drop a mic. What would you give Mr. Jake Anderson's top 10 list?
I'd give it an A.
Okay.
I know, just piggybacking off what Jake said for me, but I think the inclusion of Gabby Torres wasn't one that I really considered because he didn't play so many games. But when you look back to when he was signed here, 2022, he made an instant impact there in very few games too, just like he did this year. So that's why I gave him extra points.
I mean, I remember if we even harken back to that offseason, I mean, goodness, we saw that re-signing happened relatively early on within the offseason. And we were kind of thinking like, okay, Gabby Torres, we had votes of like, who was, I believe it was like guy with most potential or something along those lines, or guys who like you're most looking forward to seeing. And he was up there. He was very much up there. And I think it's cool that like, you know, he still kind of resonates even after the injuries, even after some of that lack of playing time. But he's a guy who clearly we want in there.
Last stat for you. So the team played, 40 games, I believe, this year? Something like that. 34 plus 4 plus 2. Is it 1 game? Yeah, so 40. So you had Jose Hernandez, Renzo, Carlos Harvey, Rocco, Trejo, Fuenmayor, Minjoma, and Arteaga play 35 or more of those games.
Goodness gracious.
And then there's a little bit of a drop off. So those are the guys. Like those are the guys who A, stayed healthy, and B, played literally almost every game.
Yeah.
I mean, Rocco was the only one that was on the bench for all 40. Fuenmayor, Eddie, and Manu were all. There was one game where they didn't go on the bench.
Sure. It's fair.
It's fair. Probably because of red cards, to be honest. Well, with Manu, it had to be a red.
I mean,
remember that red?
Yeah. So how can one forget? That was still quite the performance. What could have been? San Antonio. Okay, I'm seeing a couple before I go. Just seeing a couple comments in chat. A lot of Gallardo shouts, missed opportunities on there. That's it's an unfortunate miss. Apparently, according to a lot of people. Devin All saying
I got Gallardo at 12.
You do have Gallardo at 12. Okay. Rakowski, did not make the list. Unfortunate. I think that's a snub in some people's eyes. Definitely, I will say though, like Rakowski actually did, get high votes on kind of like a locker room kind of guy within our chat or within our awards. I'm trying to think. I think he came in. I think he placed top 3 if I'm not mistaken, but certainly was on the short list at the worst case. But a guy who he has experience. Maybe not a bad thing to have as like just a guy who has a depth piece, a guy who's been there, done that, and it will help provide some wisdom in the locker room. But yeah, and I'm even seeing B's in the chat. A lot of former rising players. There we go. I love it. Over deserving of an MLS entry bid. Bees.
Niall Dunn's a great shout. I cannot wait to see this kid finally be healthy.
Oh my gosh.
And get some playing time. He's finally becoming a man because he was a child when he signed. So he's still growing.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah. I mean, on that, Golden Man Pat Dunn either needs to play or send him elsewhere. The boy gets some games. Yep, that's fair. You're hoping just they're able to kind of work him in 100% without a doubt. All right. Here we go. Let's jump into mine. Top 10.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, it's a lot of similar guys that are on your guys' list, just a bit of different rewarding. I'll start with the one who was not on either list, and this is continuing a bit of the, I guess I want to say wingback thing, but also as we saw throughout the playoffs, right? I mean, Quajo, listen, this to me is the one that I felt kind of weird putting in the list because it's like, okay, you look at the full body of work. Was he always the one fully contributing, to either from a minute standpoint or from a goals assist standpoint throughout the season consistently? No, he wasn't. But if you have a guy who is able to just have that clutch gene, and I kind of look at this as not a high risk, high reward, but like a boomer bust type of player, to me, the number of times that he just absolutely came through in the clutch in regular season, in the playoffs, this team would not have a championship title without him. Like, to me, that's an absolute definition of having an irreplaceable player. So I got to have him on that. Again, Jose Andres Hernandez continuing the trend. And I'm actually looking at this now. We all had Jose Andres Hernandez at either at 9th or 10th. And that just shows how, while he is irreplaceable, the man is still underrated by just how darn good and consistent that he is. The engine that hums. Again, he was very much well-liked on the team, liked by the fans, and he was never going to he didn't always give you that like amazing wow game, but he never disappointed in the consistency. I can't remember a single time that man lost the ball, and that's not an exaggeration. Going 8, I got Darnell King. Right, Jake, I know you had him as your 10th guy. Again, this is a combination of both the play and the locker room experience, kind of like as you alluded to, right? Like, if we're talking just playing, listen, he's a guy who he wasn't really going to give you those 90 minutes, but he was in pretty peak form for a solid 60, 70 minutes when he would play those matches, and especially how this team runs their wingbacks. That's a solid place to be. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. And then you talk about just the intangibles, the locker room presence, the Capitan that this guy brings you. I mean, what more can you say? So Darnell King, number 8 there. Number 7, I have his, often very much his wingback counterpart, Eddie Manjoma, right? He's very much on the left-hand side. His natural position very much is on the right, but he is able to, I think out of everyone who played on those outsides there, he was the guy who, to me, he was A, most consistent, B, I think he gave you the most in terms of defensive presence as well as more than enough firepower moving forward. And listen, he's not a stat sheet kind of guy. He gave you, he had that very memorable opening goal. He had a couple of assists sprinkled in there, but just a guy who I think from the engine standpoint, he's a guy who, whenever he was out there, you kind of knew, again, what you're getting from him, would put in an honest shift. Arteaga I have just outside the top 5 at number 6. Again, you kind of look at, excuse me, as I swallow some saliva there. I didn't need to know that, but here we go. As I kind of look at right outside of number 6, Arteaga, again, just the goal contributions. Yes, he was streaky. Yes, he was a guy who, I don't know, he wasn't always as consistent in terms of being that reliable goal threat as Danny Trejo was. But again, where do these goals come from if he's not there? So right outside my top 5, getting in the top 5, Carlos Harvey, Mr. Do Everything. This man, without a doubt, was our man of the match more often than really anyone else, just from a pure, I think, just kind of gut standpoint. Carlos Harvey was just the engine. He was the guy who can do a bit of everything. Again, I don't expect him to be here. I think he's moving on to greener pastures. He's just that darn good. But yeah, there we go. Number 4, and listen, you guys both had him at 1, and I was honestly having a hard time not including him in the top 3. This honestly might be one of the more controversial placings. Panos Armenakis. I think if you're talking about the soul transformation that he brought to this team, he might be number 1 off this list if you're going just off of that. The before and after when this team had him in there was absolutely monumental. We're kind of talking about Arteaga, right? Arteaga is the type of scorer who really thrives off people putting him in the right position. How many times did we see Panos put him in the right position? His link-ups with Danny Trejo, were just absolutely, legendary down the stretch. Panos Armenakis, to me, is a very influential player, and it was very difficult for me to not put him in the top 3. John Stenberg does crack my top 3. Again, just from a rock-solid perspective, maybe one time I can recall him maybe being slightly late to ball, getting a wrong foot. It was the opening goal against San Diego. Maybe that's a bit of recency bias, but other than that, dude has just been phenomenal. Right place, right time, towering header in the final. But that goal aside, just the dude was a stud, was an absolute stud, was an absolute legend. Absolutely want him back. To me, number 2, Rocco Rios Novo. I think just not just for the saves and just how he's able to really just frustrate opposing attackers and everything like that. But just to me, it's so influential how this team looks to play out of the back, how you put another keeper in. They might be a good shot stopper, but just the presence and calm that he has on the ball. Again, the man who was 20 through a good chunk of the season, 21 by the time they won the final, he looked like a darn grizzled veteran and such a difference where I want that guy back. And he really would have been number 1 on my list if it weren't for Danny Trejo. Now, listen, I get it. I'm absolutely shocked if Danny Trejo isn't back in any sort of capacity. I don't expect him back. He is on to much, much greener pastures, and I get that kind of reflect in your guys' list. If I'm just looking at this unbiasedly, he is my number 1 indispensable player, Damon's going to hate me for this, the irreplaceable player, because he just made the absolute difference from the attacking standpoint. The goals always came from him, seemingly. Yes, Manuel Arteaga had goals in him, but to me, Danny Trejo was the true difference maker. If we're taking him out of the equation, to me, Rocco is, in my mind, the easy number 1, but Danny Trejo, my number 1 irreplaceable player. Here we go. Gentlemen, please weigh in. Hit me. What we got?
I think your top half, especially with Danny being number 1, it's kind of like we all understood how important Danny was to the team. To answer your question, I think your list is an A. I don't think. Thank you. I don't think there's anyone there that really you look at and you think what are you talking about? Yeah. Right. I think the big thing with Panos is, and we can see it in the chat. It's Panos may not be the best player, but he's the most important, the most influential. Right. He makes him tick. He turns the lock. He might be this. He might get the hockey assist. So you might not see it in the stats, but as Reese said, it's a chance is created.
Sure.
Right. Look at for as much as people hate XG and XA, look at the XA for Panos, man.
Yeah.
If not every ball is going to be finished. And you need good strikers to have those assist counts, but the creations will always be there. The XA will always be there. I just don't see personally where you're gonna replace him. Like, where are you gonna find a guy?
Sure.
Because if you do, like, he's gonna cost a lot.
Sure. And I'm going to probably say this before Stat like Reese gets on it. Chances created, again, if it hasn't already mentioned, 47 chances created, most on the team, 140 penalty area entries, 140 most on the team. Again, this guy hasn't been here for the full season. That is quite remarkable. That was quite remarkable.
All right, Max, I'm giving you your grade on your list a 3 out of 4. I thought it was pretty good. I'm giving you a 3 out of 4.
That's a 75%, so a C?
Yeah. I'm actually
That's a
gonna
deep
give him
cut.
2 3 out of 4s.
He's been waiting for this moment for weeks.
I like the first 9 players you picked. I thought the order was a bit jumbled up,
That's fair.
I think your biggest exclusion, leaving out Fuenmayor. I think that
That's
kind of
fair.
shows
That's
just
fair.
how underrated he became after that kind of poor performance in Sacramento. He rebounded so well. And
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty about this is, I mean, he was very, very close to being my top 10. Again, I'm kind of going high impact, and most of my list was over the course of the season. But then you see like Equajo and some guys who, like, to me, maybe it's a bit of recency bias, maybe it's just rising in the moment. But I think that's the beauty about all these is you ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 completely different lists. Heck, you add 100 people, you're going to get 100 different lists. I'm seeing in the chat, I think Scott gave me a C, Albert gave me a C+. The chat's harsh on me, but I expect nothing less.
Here's a quick question I have, because it's something that I think about a lot when it comes to awards, especially when we see defenders and maybe some defensive midfielders and goalkeepers. Obviously, they never win the big award, right? And my question to you guys is, I mean, what should we value, or what do you personally value more? Because we look at defensive-minded players. We look at a center back, and we look at a goalkeeper, let's say a holding midfielder as well. They play the best possible game that they can. That's a clean sheet. But that doesn't win you a game.
Sure.
And you look at a forward, and the whole point of the game is to score.
Sure.
And you need to find someone who can do that, and the forwards can actually win you games.
Sure.
Right? If you don't have a defense, it's not going to matter because you'll allow. But it's just one of those, if both are playing at their absolute best, is that why we give it to the attackers? Because they're the ones that win games, and the defenders are the ones who keep you in it, so to speak. Now, we can get into knockout football to where it doesn't matter. You can just go straight to pens.
Yeah.
But you still need guys to put it in that when it comes penalty
You still
time.
do. Yeah.
I mean, you can miss 3 in a row after being up 2-0 and lose a
100%.
final at home, right?
100%. No, it's I mean, man, and this is like the beautiful philosophical question, and honestly, this leads into what we're going to be looking at throughout the off season of, like, right, wish lists, guys we want, both category wise of like goalkeeper, defender, getting more specific, but even like identifying certain players, and then we'll see that come through as guys are re-signed, as new guys are signed in. I mean, to me, this is why I personally put Rocco and Danny in those top 2, is because to me, if I'm looking to build a team, and you cannot start with just 2 people, but if I'm boiling it down to the very, very simple ones, goalkeeper can erase a lot of bad defensive play. He can help keep guys in games. Like, again, if a ball goes in the back of the net, that's bad for you. You want a guy who can, help stop shots and really dictate the flow of that passing game. If I'm looking at the offensive side of the ball, it's essentially almost a similar type of discussion for scoring goals. Again, I'm a cliche guy. Goals change games, and you can muck it up in a gross game, but if you win 1-0, you win 1-0. And we've seen Rising do that. We have seen Rising with this season with Danny Trejo win some 1-0 games. There's some 2-1 games where, my goodness, it was gross, but they did it. And I think that's why, to me, I think I value both of those guys and really those positions so heavily. If I'm looking at one, that's such a tough choice. That is an absolutely tough choice. I still probably go forward. Maybe that's, again, just a bit of a bias showing. Again, former Golden Boot winner, just in case no one knew there. But just got a shout out there.
How old were you?
I was actually within the last 2 years. So there you go. Yes, it was in the last 2 years.
In what league?
It was actually really one of the Reese is already typing away.
Is this in FIFA?
No. This is in real life. No, one of the top leagues in Arizona. Top 3, some might say. Non-professional Sunday league. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. It was a good time. Yes, third division Sunday league. That was me. Yeah, man. I mean, as B is saying, right? It's eye test for his analytics. There's just a lot going on there. I'm gonna be curious. We'll put these out on Twitter. We'll see what people think, kind of the reception. But who is if you had to pick one guy who didn't make your list, who would be your number 11? I know you had it written down on there.
It's Formella.
It is Formella. Okay, Reese, I'll share it with. Darnell. That's fair. Yeah, I would have been Fuenmayor. It's just the spine of the team, and I already had a lot of other defenders in there, but got to give it the performance.
I think too with a guy like Mo Traore, it's not that he's like it's just difficult with the players that are on loan.
Yeah,
because it's like you have zero control
yeah.
of the player. So it's like if Mo played well this year, she's gonna go back to LAFC and maybe he never comes back to USL, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like there's nothing you can do about that. But it's thank you for your services.
Yeah.
But another guy that I don't think any of us had that I think deserved at least a shout.
Very much so. And again, it's that if you're talking about guys who really have like most improved over a course of like the season from start to finish, my word, he's got to be absolutely up there.
Sorry, goalie man Pat, but Kev no longer plays for this team.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, Kev, goodness gracious. Wish I could put him on there.
I wish Kev could be back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's at the final.
That's true.
Real quick.
Yes.
Kev, let's realize what Kev did when he came to the final on a Sunday.
Huh? Saturday
night, RSL lost in penalties in the playoffs. Saturday night. So when I was talking to him afterwards, he was like, yeah, man, I was thinking I was about to see two of my teams lose back-to-back nights in penalties in the playoffs. I mean, gutting. I'm glad he got the medal, though.
Yeah. Goodness. I mean, the man is a lot of ways people will consider him heart and soul, Phoenix Rising, and definitely has been for a long time. What's up, Emma? How are you doing?
Emma.
Good shout out there. Actually, put Emma on the spot, and she will be absolutely. She might be happy, might be furious. Oh well. I'm not gonna say Emma, does or doesn't like OGs right here in the background, right? Bing bang boom. But yeah, rumor has it, big fan, right? We all like OGs here. We love OGs. It is a PHNX staple. Again, you guys are on LinkedIn. First off, get on LinkedIn. It's a great platform. It's not just for making connections, making friends. But hey, LinkedIn, we put on there that OGs is our first multi-year partner, renewal partner at the PHNX level on with us. Another 2 years. They've been rocking with us for a while. OGs, shout out to them. Here we go. I want you guys to do me a favor. This ends on Thursday. Again, this Thursday in 2 days. Use promo code PHNX, 25% off. I almost said cents. It's not 25 cents. It's 25% off at zenleafdispensaries.com. Emma confirms she loves OGs. Seeing Sam in the chat. Hi, Max. She likes OGs as well. Boom. There we go. Love. You're right. Loves. Emma loves OGs.
All caps.
100% all caps. She is yelling at me that she loves OGs. Again, use promo code PHNX at zenleafdispensaries.com. 25% off. There are multiple Zen Leaf dispensaries all throughout the valley. We're talking North Valley, South Valley, East Valley. I believe there's even one in West Valley. But yeah, helps us out. And it's also just a cool thing for the partnership. They have the fruits, the creams, sativas, indicas, all of that great stuff. And yes, of course, look at Emma's comment. Code PHNX, giving you a discount. Go get it. Ends on Thursday. Do it now. Help your boy. Make me happy. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. Make yourself happy with some OGs. Not a doctor, but they'll make you happy.
Sorry, goalie man Pat. I don't know if we made it confusing, but Kev got sold in August.
That's fair.
So we were just going based off players that kind of finished with the team.
Yes.
We would all three of us would have had Kev probably in the top three, if not top two. But it's just not possible, unfortunately.
Yes.
But we're happy for him that he moved up in his career. He was here, in my opinion, for way too long.
Yeah.
I thought he could have gotten called up maybe after 3 years, and it took 6. So
yeah.
Happy for Kev, though. Good to see him playing with Jamaica, and hopefully he gets some more run, having a full preseason and all that.
Yeah, 100%. Albert in the chat feels like a paid appearance by Emma. No, absolutely not paid. Emma just genuinely likes what we do. We have cool freaking partners. Shout out. I literally keep on pointing the wrong way. I don't know how cameras work. Yes, thank you. Shout out Cheese Brands. They freaking love them. They're just cool people. Yes, Kev got sold. That's why it was not on this list. Something else that's been sold a lot is the PHNXlocker.com. What's on the PHNX Locker that got sold? We had a great Black Friday sale. Our Phoenix Rising Championship shirts are flying off the wall like hotcakes. I got mine. I got multiple. They're coming in hot. People have been asking, when are they going to ship? Listen, our people are working hard on shipping a lot of things out. You'll get it in time for the holidays with time to spare. I promise you. But here's the other thing. They are running out of stock. And that's a fantastic thing because my word, that Rise to the Top tee is flying off the shelves. Small, 3 items left. Medium, 5 left. Large, 7 left. XL, XXL, 3XL. 3XL is 1 item left. Listen, guys, everything is in single digits now of our Rise to the Top Champions shirt. If you haven't got one now, what are we doing? Get one now. It's a great holiday gift. Get it for yourself. Gift yourself. Treat yourself. It's fantastic. Be a champion, just like Phoenix Rising, just like this podcast. We're honorary champions. We are champions. You can be a champion too with this t-shirt. Again, we got our Phoenix Rising tee that I'm wearing. We got the one you see on screen there. We got the scarf, everything like that. Check it out. It's a fantastic time. Again, PHXlocker.com. Become a diehard as well. Again, the only place where you can watch Max get a tattoo. It's fantastic. Also, a ton of fun coverage and content we're going to be having only for diehards in our Discord channel. Yeah, Max is getting a tattoo. Bet that makes you happy, buddy.
Clip it.
No, well, we don't have to clip that.
Max is getting a tattoo.
You say it just like Owen, which I hate.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
I hate it so much. Oh, gosh. Yes. Diehard memberships make a great gift for the holiday season. Again, PHNXlocker.com, where you can get all of that. Diehards get a free shirt upon signing up. Man, we went through a lot. Little plug there. Again, just kind of like looking ahead for, again, what the offseason has. Again, we're going to be going through this year place, PHNX _ rising for signings, re-signings, new signings, speculation, wish lists of players, of areas to improve, everything like that. We have a lot going on, and rumor has it, and my goodness, I cannot emphasize enough rumors, but there should be some good things coming down the pipeline, not just from us here at the PHX Rising podcast from a content perspective. We're talking Rising news. A lot of good stuff coming through. That's what we hear. That's all we'll say. It's all speculation. Or is it? No, it totally is. But hey, all good stuff. Mr. Jake Anderson, anything you have for the people?
Not Rising related, but USL related. Mark Lowry, Indy 11.
Oh my gosh.
Parted ways today.
Yeah.
Timing makes no sense to me because obviously you're formulating your roster. Mm-hmm. Well, you have been, you would think. It's interesting. Just he was so good at El Paso. Wasn't quite as sharp at Indy. I really am interested to see where he goes. Seems like a lot. I mean, if you, we know that Twitter discourse can be Twitter discourse, but a lot of people on there seem like it was an interesting move, and they feel like he's a good coach. See what happens. Man. Reese, anything you have for the people? I like your list, by the way. You did good. You did good today. You're not just a stat liker. He gives me a cheesy thumbs up. We like that. We're not. That's definitely not making the podcast. We're not going to even utter what he said. Cut his mic. The one he doesn't. No. Yeah. Wait. No. Tottenham Blue. That's what I think you meant. Yeah. Absolutely. Goodness. We have a lot of fun here, guys. I don't know when.
3-game losing streak for you guys.
I'm gonna end this podcast before it gets worse. Yeah, we're on the come up, folks. Don't get tightly involved. We have a whole Spurs Villa thing. I'm not gonna get into it. But anyway, appreciate everyone joining us. I have no idea when Owens get back. It might be next week. It might be the week after. Maybe it's like a couple months from now. Hopefully, no. But he'll be back soon. Appreciate Mr. Jake Anderson for hopping on. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Mr. Jake Ty Guy Anderson at JWA 1994.
That's it.
Man, I got it. The old noodle doesn't fail me yet. You can follow Mr. Statlacky Rees, who just did a great job. Just a wonderful appearance. Statlacky extraordinaire, and with a little talking, with a little list analysis, a listicle, if you will, at Reese11 _ just the one _. You can follow producer Damon Dog, at Damon Dog with a DAWG. Of course, follow the show on Twitter at PHNX _ rising, because double the underscore I'm putting you on the spot here.
Double of fun.
Okay, we like the all reliable.
Especially when Scott S. is telling you to call my agent.
Oh gosh, must resign. Well, our people will talk to your people. I love it. I love it. No, we're absolutely gonna have Jake on the pod throughout the offseason and beyond that. We love Mr. Tie Guy. But hey, appreciate everyone. We went through our irreplaceables today. You in the chat, all you guys, you're irreplaceable in my mind because it's a beautiful game, but it's so much more beautiful when they just have Phoenix Rising just re-sign everyone. They're all irreplaceable and we run it back. Okay, bye guys.
We all silly like the mayor.